Okay, what's going on, everybody? My name is Mangg. Welcome back to Hanging with Mangg. Today, we are playing Final Fantasy XIV. Because I kinda am gonna talk about Final Fantasy XIV a little bit. So the other day, while I was recording a Final Fantasy XIV video, a thought sort of just bolted into my head of, wouldn't it be cool for someone? I think initially the idea wasn't even for me, really. Although that thought came afterwards pretty quickly. Wouldn't it be cool for someone to create a summarized series for Final Fantasy XIV and the story? There are summary videos for Final Fantasy XIV, many of them. And by which I mean, like, these videos that are like 30 minutes long or something, and the title is like everything you need to know about Final Fantasy XIV before Shadowbringers. And it's just this, you know, short, or I suppose relatively short, summarization of the major plot points in Final Fantasy XIV. And there are stuff, there's summaries specifically for A Realm Reborn, Heavensward, Stormblood, Shadowbringers, or, you know, everything before Shadowbringers, or the entire game, you know. And usually these summaries are like 20 minutes, 30, 40 minutes maybe. I think maybe I've seen an hour. But there's nothing in between playing the game for yourself and going through all the dialogue and cutscenes and the whole story yourself and watching one of these 30-minute, hour-long summaries or whatever. There's nothing in between that's like 30 or 40 hours long. And obviously, things get lost in summarization. Inevitably. I mean, that's the point. That is the point, is trimming things out. That is what summarization is all about. So anything less than just playing through the whole thing yourself and experiencing the whole thing yourself, something will be lost in the process. But, you know, there can be stuff that's over summarized. When you condense, you know, 100 hours of gameplay and dialogue and story development into an hour of summary, you know, a lot is getting cut out in the process. You're really only hitting major plot points and cutting out all the little character development and side stories and little narratives that happen. You're really hitting the big major points. And that's a shame because, yeah, the major plot points of Final Fantasy XIV are cool, but it's really only through all the character development and the building narrative and the interconnected stories and things like that that really make you appreciate the major plot points. So I thought, wouldn't it be cool if there was something in between? If there was like a much lengthier summary of the whole game's story, and it came out to, I don't know, 40 hours or whatever. Just to throw a number out there. And because, like I said, I don't think that this exists. And if you're watching my Final Fantasy playthrough, the 14 playthrough, you'll eventually hear me discussing all this in some of the later videos. But then it sort of became, well, if there was somebody that could do this, it would be me. I mean, other people could do this, but I am certainly in a position where I could make this idea happen. I could make it a real thing. I have the capabilities. I like Final Fantasy XIV. I don't think that's a big secret. And I like Final Fantasy in general. I like video games in general. And I like to summarize, which is not perhaps a common thing to say, but it's the truth. And so the idea just sort of got stuck in my head. It's so different from what I normally do. But it just got stuck in my head of like, maybe I want to do this. Maybe I want to make this happen. And so I was asking family and I was asking friends. I even posted it on the Exploring Series community tab, asking for feedback on the idea. And originally it was sort of, well, I could just do it as like a pet project. You know, whenever I have spare time, I could just work on it and release videos, you know, whenever I get around to it. But eventually I realized doing all of my Let's Play shit, doing the SCP video every week, doing a side series like every other week, and then trying to squeeze in a pet project of like 45-minute videos that would involve a lot of editing, playing through the Final Fantasy XIV story again, and writing and all that. It would be too much. I doubt I would release 5 of these videos in the next year. So then it became a thought of, do I want to just make this my side series for the next year instead of putting up viewer polls on the Exploring series? Do I want to just say, no, I'm deciding this next year. I'm picking what I do on my channel. And I'm going to do a series on Final Fantasy XIV. And in the end, you know, the community post, the majority of people said, it's your channel. If you want to do it, I'm sure it'll be good. And we'll probably watch it, you know, blah, blah, blah. It got plenty of likes on that post. And at the end of the day, I figured I do want to do this. I do like the idea. I probably will enjoy it. And basically, it's a way for me to play Final Fantasy XIV and get paid for it. I mean, obviously, there's a lot more to it than that, but I mentioned this a while back in a Hanging with Mangg that I wanted to see if I could find a way to combine my love of video games and the exploring series. And originally, it was going to be with Final Fantasy 1 on the NES. I was going to do something like that, like a summary of the whole game's plot and some of the mechanics and things like that, just as a trial. That fell through because I just couldn't bring myself to play through Final Fantasy 1 on the NES. I had been completely spoiled by the Game Boy Advance version. And that would have just been a one-off video. Whereas this is going to be a year, at least. I mean, it might go long. It probably will go longer than that. I don't exactly have an idea of how long it will be. I won't really know that until I get into it and I start recording, I start writing, and I see how much I want to exactly summarize. But, I mean, it's going to be a lengthy series either way. At least 20 videos. And like I said, video games are one of my primary loves. And so if I could find a way to you know, basically make a job out of video games, I mean, that's a big goal for a lot of people nowadays. And I'm not interested in doing the whole streaming route or anything like that, but doing it my way, I think could be a lot of fun and, you know, put out some good content for people. Will there be any new Warhammer 40k content on Exploring series? Eventually. I ended that side series because there's just simply too much to that universe to be a side series for me to just dip my toes into every other week and try and put out a short video. It's a massive universe that requires my full attention. So eventually, once SCP gets relegated to a side series, like every other week, because I've just the amount of like lengthy SCP articles and groups of interest videos and things like that. Once that slows down, I'll move it to a side series, and then 40k will probably be my main series. But you know, we'll see. I mean, if this video game thing really kicks off, who knows? Yeah, I'm not going to try and predict the future. That was my plan, though. Was eventually 40k would be my main series for a while. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna go with. So sometime in January, I will release the first video of a series tentatively called The Story of Final Fantasy XIV. I don't know if there's a better name. I don't really want to slap exploring onto it, because it really is almost like a different series entirely. It is something very different than what I normally do. I'm normally very like topic based, whereas this will not be topic based. This will be as if basically taking the entire story of Final Fantasy XIV, like an entire playthrough of Final Fantasy XIV, and dividing it into episodes akin to a television series, and then summarizing each of those television episodes. That's more what it's going to be like. So I will be recording an entire second playthrough of the game without, you know, live commentary. And then I'll be using that footage and, you know, the cutscenes and the dialogue and things like that, and dungeons and stuff. And I'll be editing that down and summarizing and doing a voiceover summarizing the dialogue and things like that. My goal is to make it fairly cinematic. This will be the first time I'm really using a lot of... I'm using, like, purely video footage. I mean, there won't be really any still images involved. So this is going to be a very different step. But that's what YouTube's all about. It's all about trying different things. Yeah, so I'm obviously pretty excited about it. It's not obviously going to be everyone's cup of tea on the Exploring series, but anytime I switch series, it doesn't matter. A lot of people are not going to watch it. I mean, even if I did things normally, if I continued D&D, not a lot of people would watch it. If I switched to Fallout, not a lot of people would watch it. It doesn't matter. Greek mythology, not a lot of people would watch it. And that was a big argument for me, just like saying fuck it and just picking my own series. And we'll just see how it goes. It's an experiment. If we get 15 episodes in or whatever, and people aren't really watching, and I'm getting sort of burned out, I don't care for it as much as I thought I would, then we'll say screw it, and we'll just do the polls again. But I don't know. I think it's a bit of a niche that isn't really filled. Not just Final Fantasy XIV. I'm talking about like video game summaries in general. I mean, a lot of channels will focus on entire like franchise, and they'll cover every aspect of that franchise of games. But I don't know if there are any channels that do a lot of like different types of video game summaries of like the plots. I mean, you know, I don't know. No real harm will come of this experiment, I think. That sounds like famous last words, but you know, it's my primary breadwinner is SCP. The side series have never really brought in that much income, so it doesn't really matter. This is just something I figure, since it doesn't matter, I might as well do something that I might enjoy a lot. Yeah, so I know Ren will be happy to hear all this. That I've fully succumbed to Final Fantasy XIV mania. And who knows, you know, if it gets big enough, maybe Square Enix will take notice. And I don't know, I'll get flown out to Tokyo to look at the next expansion or something. Who knows what? I mean, I'm a big Final Fantasy fan. I'd say overall it's probably my favorite video game franchise. So I wouldn't mind down the line doing like summaries of Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy VI, Final Fantasy 9, 10. I mean, Final Fantasy 10, if I just never play like Titus's voice and I just summarize it, you know, probably not too bad. Anyways. Moving on. So this week on this channel, obviously Final Fantasy XIV, and that will continue for a while. I am actually caught up, if you notice, in the upper left here. Main scenario quests, complete, to be continued. I'm caught up on the main story now. The new patch comes out in 2 days, I think. So there will be another 10 or 12 quests to go. But yeah, I'm very close to being like all caught up and done with current Final Fantasy XIV content. I'll be sitting for a few months just uploading videos and not recording anything. So that's that. We have what have I been uploading? Demon Souls Remake. Yes, that has like two more videos. 2 more videos for Demon Souls Remake. And we finished all my Skyrim stuff, my little Skyrim escapade. That's all done and through. So don't need to worry about that. So what's going to happen? I have this thought out. Cyberpunk 2077, if everything goes as planned, will be releasing Wednesday night. So I might just stream my first video for Cyberpunk. Just to, get some people in there. Anyone that isn't picking up the game, we could get a nice little stream going for the first part of the Let's Play. But I will be doing a Let's Play of Cyberpunk 2077. So that'll start Wednesday night, which leaves Monday night as Gloomhaven, I believe. And then we have 2 days in between there. We have tonight and Tuesday night. So I'm not going to start Dragon Quest V. I'm just going to upload the last 2 parts of Demon Souls Remake. So Demon Souls tonight and Tuesday night, Gloomhaven Monday night, Cyberpunk Wednesday night. And then, after that, once we get things settled, then I'll start uploading Dragon Quest V finally. And then it'll just be Cyberpunk and Dragon Quest for a while. I mean, Cyberpunk is probably a pretty big game. Obviously, I'm only showing the main story or whatever, but still. I'm sure we'll be fucking around. Then, what else? We had the variety stream for Hyrule Warriors. We did Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, just like for an hour. As I mentioned, for those that watched that, I did it as like a break while I was working on an exploring video. I've been pretty swamped. And that swampness will not be going away. Yeah, I put out the final D&D video, which was the longest D&D video, so that one was a bitch to put together. And then next week, I'll be starting on a 2-part. I'll be working on the first of 2 parts for an SCP, a 001 proposal. So that'll be a lot of effort. And then for December, I'm planning now as like a Christmas surprise or Christmas treat, I suppose. I will be doing an audiobook of At the Mountains of Madness, which, for those that are not aware, At the Mountains of Madness is one of Lovecraft's lengthiest stories. The audiobook will be probably around the 4-hour mark, maybe a little longer. So this is a lengthy one. So I'm basically just working on that, like, in my free time throughout the entirety of December, with the idea of releasing it for Christmas. So that'll be that. So I'm not really even like thinking of working on the Final Fantasy XIV thing until after Christmas. I'm setting that aside for later. I've got other things to do first. Then, well, we're getting into exploring series stuff now, but yeah, so it was just a quick little stream for Hyrule Warriors just to show that off. And we had Two Brothers play the final part of Final Fantasy V. That went on for 7 weeks, which was quite a while. But we're done with Final Fantasy V now, and we're going to be moving on to Final Fantasy VI next week. And during our stream of 5, he and I discussed what we want to do for Final Fantasy VI. And whether or not we want to do just vanilla, straight up, normal Final Fantasy VI on the Super Nintendo, or if we want to do a ROM hack. There's a ROM hack for 6, a notable one called Brave New World, that I've actually spent some time playing in the past. It's not a difficulty ROM hack, as in its purpose is not just to make the game more difficult, but it is challenging. It does make the game harder through all of its changes. But primarily its changes are to make the game more interesting, to make the game more variable. So there's like actual character development involved. I feel like I'm shouting. Hold on. Yeah, this is just a little loud for my taste. Sorry. There's character development involved. There's character choices involved. A lot of mechanics have been changed, especially related to leveling and espers and things like that. So I think it does make the game more interesting, and that's why I was inclined to give it a try. But I know that it probably would be a little frustrating for Lego, especially after seeing him go through Final Fantasy V. So that's why I wanted to have like a discussion about it. Heals would be good, eh? And so what we ended up deciding was that he'll be doing Final Fantasy VI Vanilla, just maybe on the Game Boy Advance, but no ROM hacks involved. I will be doing Brave New World. So this will be the first time we're really playing like different games, sort of. But it will allow us to show kind of the differences between the vanilla game and Brave New World. And I think it will be more enjoyable for both of us ultimately. Because I like, making things interesting. I've beaten 6 many times, and he's never beaten it. So his goal is to just beat the game and not have too rough of a time with it. And my goal is to show off a ROM hack and make things interesting and hopefully beat the game, but you never know. So that will be starting next week. Plenty of Final Fantasy content on this channel. Then, suppose that's about it. Suppose that's about it for this channel. Here we go. Tanking bosses, baby. So yeah, over on the Exploring series, this week I'm releasing a video. Well, last week I released a video on the abnormality, whatever the number that was, with the hallways. People seem to like that one, so that's good. I think the authors both like messaged me, were very pleased with it. Yossi, I've covered his stuff before, so, but yeah, he was very grateful. The other author, I think it was the first time, and they were very, very happy, which is cool. It's very cool. Having author approval is very nice. Then, for this week, I worked on a video, a DJ Cactus one, about a remote viewing machine created by Vincent Anderson during the Cold War, at the behest of Marshall, Carter, and Dark. So, chew on that one. Oh. It's not one of Cactus's best, but, you know, it's Cactus, so it's still pretty good. And apparently, I just learned this like yesterday, but DJ Cactus is on hiatus from writing for the SCP Wiki. He's apparently had some writer's block for a while now, and he just came out and talked about it and said that he's had writer's block in the past, but it's never been this bad. So he doesn't know what to do for it except just give it time and just go on hiatus and pull the boss north. Well, he's the boss. I mean, look, I'm not gonna like, I'm not gonna chastise the guy or anything. If he's struggling, then, you know, take all the time he needs. It's not like this is a pain. It's not like his job. Do what you do. It's a bummer, of course, because he's my favorite author on the site. So I hope that, you know, in time he gets his groove back, because he had a lot of irons in the fire that me and many other people were excited about. You know, the conclusion to the whole like Otto Papadopoulos storyline and the Wrath storyline and things like that. And he was working on apparently something related to me. Like the Exploring series was like a central figure in the SCP. So that is kind of cool. Okay, I guess we'll just use Hallowed Ground. Great. And I'd love to see that at some point, because how cool would that be? Now's not the time to be rolling on loot. We're fighting a boss, goddammit. Anyway, that would be cool. Yes, it would be cool. He shared an image on my Discord of like the top of the SCP document, and it had like a blurry image of like a desert or something like that, and it had the exploring series in like stylized text over it. I didn't. He sort of explained what it was about. It was like a bunch of different universes that the Foundation learned were connected in some way, and this entity known as the Exploring Series or whatever was the thing that connected all of them, or something like that. So, I mean, obviously I was pretty giddy because this isn't like some 12-year-old kid that's like, I'm writing a SCP about you, Mr. Exploring Series. I mean, this is fucking DJ Cactus, so probably be pretty good. But I think, you know, this is not like the end of Cactus. We'll see him back. He'll get back someday. It's just a matter of time. God damn it. God damn it. Anyway, yeah, so, yeah, this week was a DJ Cactus video. And I'll be releasing the final D&D video. Oh, no, I did already. I did already. I'm sorry. I released the final video on Sigil, which is a very cool place. What is it? A ads, B belly. All right, we're belly. Okay, well, I probably shouldn't be the main tank then. We'll leave it to C, who's been eager enough. What was I talking about? Right, yeah. Exploring series. So the Cold War cactus thing. And then this Thursday, God, I don't want to fucking... I mean, I could just turn off my fucking tank aura, but just tank them, man. I'll be doing a live Q&A this Thursday, I believe. To commemorate the end of the D&D series. So it's not specifically a D&D Q&A. I'm not going to call it that. It's just going to be a live Q&A. If people want to talk about if people want to ask about D&D, fine. If they want to ask about SCP, they want to talk about Final Fantasy, whatever. It's just a Q&A. There we go. Done and done. Most people ask about SCP. Yes. Yes, I know. I'm not deluded. I know. But I do get to pick the questions as they scroll by, so if there are D&D questions, I'll try to look at those. I haven't done a live Q&A in quite a while, so should be fun. And then it's basically just sort of after that I'll just be trying to get this at the Mountains of Madness thing done. That is the big project for December. That is that. Those are my channels. I did ask Ziggy when he's going to do a D&D campaign based on Sigil. And he said he'll have to think about that. He did think that sounded interesting. I mean, we probably wouldn't use D&D, to be honest. We'd probably use Shadow the Demon Lord or something. But still, it's a cool setting. Worthy of people's attention. Yeah, I suppose that's about it. Not a whole lot else to say. My Japanese is still going well. I'm still moving along. Pull it up. I don't really know where I'm supposed to stand as the tank on this fight, but I guess I can just stand in the front. It's kind of badass. Ideally, you get healing as the tank. Healing is good. Not gonna say healing is a bad idea. Come on now. Do I have to fucking hollowed ground? Oh my god, dude. Are you serious? There wasn't even anyone else to heal. It was just me. Oh, and then they slow cast a res. Lordy, 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 lordy. Alright, well. Blasted Pizza can tank, I guess. Maybe he'll get heals. Jesus Christ. Will Big Bo ever come back? I think normally I would give sort of a non-committal answer here, but I'm going to go ahead and say no. Big Bo had his time, but I think it's perhaps best that he stays silent. I mean, overall, there are a lot of aspects of this channel that have diminished or suffered since I've started doing exploring series as like a full-time thing. I mean, I used to do like trailers all the time. You know, like any big game release, like Cyberpunk. Back in the day, I would have made a trailer for that shit. But nowadays, it's just like editing is part of my job. And I just don't have the energy or the interest in editing as a hobby. So really, this channel has just become entirely... I don't remember which one I'm supposed to be in, so fuck it. Really, this channel is just Let's Plays. It's just it. That's it. That's it. There's nothing fancy, nothing special. It is just a way for me to have a hobby. Anyways, we're just about wrapping up here. So I was a little late on the limit break, my friend. And there you have it. I guess not. Check out the DJ Cactus Cold War Spine Machine tomorrow. That's kind of a cool looking piece of armor. I'll need on that shit. Oh, I got it. Cool. We've got more Final Fantasy XIV coming, and really a lot more Final Fantasy XIV coming in all aspects of my life. Cyberpunk starting on Wednesday. We're finishing off Demon's Souls Remake. Gloomhaven tomorrow. Variety stream. Truth be told, I don't think there'll actually be a variety stream this week. I think I'll stream Cyberpunk on Wednesday, and pretty much everyone will prefer that to me finding some random game to stream otherwise. Two Brothers Play Final Fantasy VI starting next Saturday. And that should be a good week. Should be a good week all around. Good stuff. Alrighty. I have other things to do. Many other things to do. My name is Mangg. This has been Hanging with Mangg. And I will see you fine folks next